In 2024, the national grid collapsed 12 times and over 100 times in the last 10 years. This year, 2025, the grid has collapsed 6 times from February, March, June, July, respectively. Incessant power cuts, especially the kind experienced nationwide in recent times in the form of national grid collapse, does not bode well for the Nigerian economy, which is already struggling with numerous problems. For example, Nigerian persistent power challenge are costing the economy an estimated $26 billion annually. Economic losses arising from Nigerian electricity without accounting for spending on fuel has also risen with over 22 billion every year. Joining me right now on the show is Dr. Michael Olusola Olatunbosun, CEO of Farm Management Resource, Osogbo, Osun State, who happened to be a businessman that the recent grid collapse affect their business in Osun State. So he'll be helping us understand what they feel as a business people and what they think the government need to do, talking about national grid collapse, electricity power supply, the challenge within that sector that's been affecting business, both the formal business and informal business in Nigeria. So we're expecting Dr. Michael to join me right now. Doc, very good day to have you on the show, sir. So we're still expecting Doc to join on the show right now. Although one interesting aspect of what we have been looking on, particularly the electricity sector, is that the grid, as I earlier pointed out in my introduction, have collapsed 100 times in 10 years, which shows that in each of the year, from every one year, you see grid collapse 10 times, if we check it averagely. So what is the solution to this national grid collapse? What can we do better to bring about a sustainable electricity in Nigeria? And even though the government have put in place law that guide against how we can ensure that electricity is now decentralized in Nigeria. And that is quite interesting because a lot of people have said, because some state government that were producing light or generating light at their state at a particular point, we need to put that light on national grid. And now there's a law that have unbundled that sector. So what is happening to that law implementation at state level? Another very interesting aspect of this particular discussion is that how come grid collapse is now so serious in Nigeria, in much that government has also been spending money to ensure that infrastructure in that aspect of the economy is well taken care of. Although analysts are also complaining that this particular sector is also suffering from fund paucity, meaning there is not much money that has been put in the electricity sector in Nigeria. But government will argue that over the years, trillions of naira have been put there. For instance, between 1999 and 2007, $16 trillion was expended on electricity sector in Nigeria. This year alone, we have not come out with any official document that have shown that government has spent so much, even though the budget of 2025 for power sector is huge in millions. But the Minister of Power, Chief Adelabu, came out and said at least every year we need no less than $2.5 billion to take care of our electricity sector in Nigeria. Okay, we have Dr. is here. Doctor, a very good day to have you on the show.
Yeah, good afternoon, and thank you for having me again.
All right, so interesting to have you. And what was your reaction when you received the news of national grid collapse?
I was not surprised because this year alone, it has gone down about 7 times. So it wasn't a surprise, but it was, but that doesn't mean it is not a sad situation. It's very sad, and it's something that the government should, take care of. Stand up to the challenge and tackle it once. The way they did for the petroleum sector, we need that kind of intervention. That kind of decision should be taken for the power as well.
Are you talking about, because in the oil and gas sector, what the government did was the presidential executive order? Is that what you are requesting on the electricity power sector in Nigeria also?
Yes, the public sector should hand over to the private sector. You see, the grid system that we have is very delicate and is capital intensive, land intensive, and very vulnerable. It is vulnerable to weather, vulnerable to vandalism. even in times of maybe during period of war, I mean, it can easily be sabotaged. So the private sector, just as you know, they came into the telecom. You know how our telecom was before they came in, and you know how the petroleum, I mean, sector was before they also came in. Although we are still getting over the challenges of the petroleum sector, like the transition is being restricted by people who want the status quo because of what they were benefiting. I think this kind of situation should happen to our power sector, so we can free ourselves. It might be a little bit more expensive at the beginning, but as the investment, I mean, begin to come in, due to maybe these economies of scale, we begin to have it cheaper eventually. So I think the government should just take that decision and hand over.
Talking about the government, the Electricity Act 2023 has already unbundled, has already decentralized that sector. What do you think is still keeping the private sector not to come in? I said something earlier in my introduction. All the state governors, all the state governments, what they are interested in right now is licensing. But the law permits them to also generate. Don't you think that the state government need to partner with this private sector that you are calling on so that they can build this electricity sector in Nigeria?
Yeah, I think it has been unbundled on paper. But in the real practice, the government is still holding on to the power sector. The way I see it, maybe because they think, I mean, the level of investment that the private sector is displaying is not encouraging. But one thing is that, I mean, once a decision is taken and we want to get over this very particular problem, we must be able to face it. Just what was done recently, about 2 years ago, in the petroleum sector. It was not easy, but that is the kind of process that we need also in the power sector.
Now, let's now take a look at the impact of this national grid collapse on businesses. You are a businessman, you have your business there in Osogbo, and I could also understand that many of your members who are in the same line of business with you are also lamenting the impact of this national grid collapse. But share with us, your experience so far, talking about the poor power sector state in Osun State and Nigeria at large.
You see, when you don't have power, maybe not enough power in a country or economy, you find it difficult to leave the pre-industrial stage of development. You see, the pre-industrial stage of development is what we are not able to get out of, because that stage is characterized by low productivity, characterized by manual labor, characterized by low income, characterized by poverty, characterized by insecurity. You see, those are the things we are finding, because now even the factories are down. So it's only the manual operations that are bankable. So it keeps the country down. We cannot grow past this pre-industrial stage of development. We need to go into the industrial stage, go into the service stage, so we can create wealth and prosperity for our people. This power situation must be handled. We are not going to power our industry with manpower. The machineries have to function. They have to work. Like, take for instance, in the poultry sector now, the hatchery, the breeding aspect of it. Immediately you have the hatching egg. Immediately you turn on a setter in the hatchery. It doesn't go off. It cannot go off for 5 minutes. and you keep on changing, putting eggs and removing eggs. You have different stages of eggs in it. So the machine can be on for 2 years running. So how do you run that? Take another branch of it, feed milling. Feed milling requires a lot of power to produce feed for the livestock. Meat production, for instance, now we're talking about frozen chicken. You have the cold chain to maintain. How do you survive? That's why if you see, most farms are down. The capacity for the poultry now is about 12.7%. That's the utilization capacity. That is very bad. It's very bad. The cost of day-old chicks, because the hatchery has to run on expensive power. The cost of feed mill, because producing the oil from removing the oil from soya to have soya meal, which forms about 35%, 25 to 35% of your feed, requires power, a lot of power. The oil mills, power cannot go even when the oil mill is running. If there's power failure, you have to dismantle everything. So the people, the operators are passing through a lot of pains, and they pass this cost to the consumers, now making our final product uncompetitive. That's why somebody can say, okay, I want to bring in frozen chicken, because those chicken are coming from countries where you have stable and cheap electricity. You can't compete with them.
Interesting. But Doc, as we begin to round up right now, what would be your advice to the government? The law is here. Electricity Act 2023 is here. It has unbundled, it has decentralized. But, the shaky aspect of it, I will call it shaky, because for the state governors who believe that in the past they are told to put the power they are generating into the national grid. That is no more anymore. But here we are still finding it difficult to implement the law to the fullness. But what would be your advice to both the federal government, the subnational government, which are the state government, as well as the private sector, who are also interested in coming to this arena? Even though you have proposed a model after the oil and gas sector, talking about the presidential executive order for the electricity sector to also be comply with. But what would be your advice going forward on all this?
Okay, my advice is, the three arms of government should work. The local, the state, and the federal. You see, every problem is going to the federal government. That is not fair. The local government, they have funds. They can also invest into rural electricity, isn't it?
Exactly.
The state government can also create microgrids that you don't have to generate power from Sapele, first bring it to Shobo before you now take it to Gongola. You see, elementary physics tells us that, when you transmit power through a long distance, you lose about 5 to 10% because of the resistance in the transmission line. They will come out, they'll be lost as heat. So it is, the government should take that bold step. First, make all the three arms of government to work, make them responsible. Then also be ready to fight the people that are benefiting from the status quo. You see, like as we are witnessing in the oil sector, our private investor has been going through hurdles because of the people who are the gatekeepers. It's like, you see, if you have a very bad spot on the expressway and they convert that place to a market where if vehicles slows down and people now come to sell, if government repairs it, the people that are benefiting from that bad situation will still go back and put the potholes there. So
That's
those are
it.
the types of people that the government should be ready to fight.
Interesting.
It's not
Interesting.
going to. I mean, it won't take a spineless government to achieve this.
Interesting.
You will fight because you have very powerful people that are benefiting from this mess in the power sector.
Exactly. Doc, we have to leave it there for now. I know this is a developing issue that we still need to revisit, distance from now. But thank you so much, Dr. Michael Olusola, for coming on the show today. It's quite interesting that we have you on the show to speak on the impact of national grid collapse on businesses in Nigeria. And your experience is quite laudable, I would say, for people like you in that sector of the business, talking about the poultry business. You are really feeling the heat of this kind of challenge that we have in Nigeria. But thank you so much for coming on the show today, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, sir. So enjoy the rest of your day over there in Ishogbo. I've been speaking with Dr.
Yeah.
Michael Olusola Olatunbosun, to be a businessman that the recent national grid collapse, not just the recent one, all the collapse of national grid, in terms of electricity, affect their businesses. Earlier, we also spoke with Bangbo, you happen to be a tax expert, talking about the federal inland revenue, introduction of digitization of Nigerian tax landscape. This is the size of our show today, I would say, and although ADBN is still on with other shows coming up. But thank you so much for staying tuned. My name is Adefola Olamilekon. Till we come your way next time, enjoy the rest of your day.